review of Joe Hill's Horns. And if you stay tuned following this book review, I'm going to do a very short review of the film that comes out in the U.S. on Halloween of this year. First up, if you're not familiar with who Joe Hill is the son of Stephen King, and I would have to say that his father, Stephen King, has greatly influenced his writing, and it's kind of evident in his writing style. Now, Horns is Joe Hill's second book. It was a very, very good book. I rated it 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, but I don't think it was as thought-provoking or as brilliant as his first novel, which was Heart-Shaped Box. If you're interested to see what I thought of Heart-Shaped Box, I did review that, and it's in my book reviews. Now, Joe Hill's writing style, when he introduces a story, he doesn't make it a slow building story. He always cuts right to the chase, and immediately you're brought right into what's going on in the story. He does this in Horns, where Ignatius Iggy Parish wakes up after a night of binge drinking, and he wakes up and he has found out that he has grown horns out of the temples of his skull, and he has like unnatural, supernatural powers to compel people to tell him their most deepest, darkest secrets and wants, and to be able to make them do things that are considered sinful in nature. I think that Joe Hill does a very good job of introducing all of the characters. This book involves a lot of assumptions, and I'm saying assumptions because the way the story is told, it's told from the multiple viewpoints of all of the characters that are involved in this story. There's a lot of backstory, like flashback scenes, and there was one particular flashback scene where they were all kids that really reminded me of Stephen King's short story Different Seasons. So that was why I was saying you can tell his dad has influenced his writing. Now, Iggy Parish's girlfriend, who was named Maren Williams, had been killed a year prior to the start of this book, and it was kind of a mysterious, what they labeled as a sex crime. And some people in the town assumed that Iggy Parish had committed this crime, even though he was nowhere near the place of the crime. But just because he was the last person who was seen with her. Now, there's a couple other characters that are rather interesting besides those two who happen to be high school sweethearts. There is his friend Lee Turno, who is kind of a creepy, douchebaggish sort of character, and his brother Terry Parish. Now, another thing I loved about this book was the wordplay. Like, the book is called Horns, and Iggy's family is a famous jazz family, and his dad plays the trumpet, which is a horn, and so does his brother Terry. So I thought that was kind of a neat play on words, you know, horns, and it's kind of a little subtle thing that I think a lot of people won't notice. And also there's another scene, Devil in a Blue Dress. Just little things like that, and the treehouse of their mind. I know I'm throwing out some vague things. If you haven't read this book, you don't know what I'm talking about. When you read it, you'll get what I'm talking about. But yes, all these assumptions, you'll learn more about what's true and what's not when you see the story told from each character's viewpoint. And by the end of the book, which I thought a lot of people were kind of wrong in saying this book ended too slowly, I really don't understand why people thought that, because I thought that it ended just right. I mean, it was broken down for the different viewpoints, with the person who had killed Maren and Maren's story herself being the last ones told at the end of the book. I thought it was a perfect ending. I really, didn't think it was a spectacular work by Joe Hill, but it was very good. One that I gave 4 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. Okay, now for my film review of Horns, which I do have to say I was highly anticipating this film, which sadly was not screenwritten by Joe Hill. He did have a hand in helping produce this movie, but some other guy wrote the screenplay. I do have to say I rated the Horns film only 2 out of 5 stars on Netflix, and I'm going to tell you why. If you're wondering how I saw this film before it has been released for Halloween of this year, it is available for rent or to own on iTunes only, which I don't understand how iTunes is doing this, or if they're doing this with other films that are in theaters, but you can rent the film. And they did at one time have a director's extended cut, and I kind of missed the opportunity to see that one, and I don't think it really would have mattered in my opinion of this film. The main flaws of this film compared to the book, they totally changed so many different things. Like Lee Turno is a guy with brunette hair, and he's a lawyer instead of being a congressman's assistant. And it's taking place in the state of Washington and not New Hampshire. Iggy is a DJ and not someone who works at the Peace Corps. It was just little things like that, I think, that totally, destroyed the story in the movie. And another thing was Iggy was constantly being followed by TV reporters. And if this was true, the things that happened in the book, he wouldn't be able to do any of the things that happened in the book. So I thought that the film was just really garbage in comparison to the book, because it just didn't make any sense, and it seemed rather rushed. Daniel Radcliffe plays Iggy Parrish. I just think he did an okay role. The whole time I was picturing Iggy Parrish, I was actually picturing Joe Hill himself being Iggy Parrish. And for some reason, Lee Turno, I envisioned the guy from Smallville, Lex Luthor, as being Lee Turno. But, I thought they did a good job with the Glenna scene and the donuts, but it could have been done a little better. So I really didn't think, I thought the film was a disaster, and it was very disappointing in comparison to the book. So that is my quick review of the book Horns and the film review in comparison to the book. Questions, comments down below. Let me know, have you read this book? Have you seen the film yet? Or are you anticipating seeing the film? Please let me know down below. And until next time, later guys.